It's the Locked On Flyers podcast for Thursday, October 16th, your daily dose of Flyers news, analysis, and high quality content that's going to answer if Rick Tocchet is making the right adjustments to face the Winnipeg Jets.
You're Locked On Flyers, your daily podcast on the Philadelphia Flyers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey there, and thanks for making Locked On Flyers your first listen every day. I am Rachel Donner. I've been podcasting about the Flyers, the NHL, and hockey for a decade, and I'm here with prospect expert and Flyers credentialed reporter for 20 years, Russ Cohen. Today's episode is brought to you by Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. To keep up with all of our latest episodes and Flyers news, you can find us at Locked On Flyers on Instagram, Threads, Blue Sky, and Twitter. And of course, here on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Russ, we have been looking at some key players and how Rick Tocchet is using them. We talked on yesterday's show about Jet Luchenko a lot. As well as Nikita Grabenkin, and are they, getting the right kind of ice time? And that was kind of a part of the theme of what Rick Tocchet talked about at practice yesterday. I think Luchenko more specifically, to what we talked about, but his lineup logic in general here, right?
Yeah, no question, because it's definitely getting talked about from management, I'm sure, and everything else, because they're trying to formulate a decision on what to do with him. So yeah, that's not a surprise.
Right. So if we look at the lines and pairings that they had in practice yesterday, up against a very tough Winnipeg Jets team, which we're going to talk about a little bit later in the show. We're also going to check in on Jack Murtagh at Boston University and set our expectations for his season there. But you look at that top line with Couturier, Michkov, and Konechny, rotating Konechny onto the left side because he can do it a little bit better than Michkov can at this time, which makes sense. Mm-hmm. You keep your Cates line together. And then he did talk a lot about putting Trevor Zegras with Christian Dvorak as kind of a hybrid center wing situation where both of them are playing both roles, taking kind of the weight off Trevor Zegras in terms of the face-offs, which we know he's not great at, but allowing Zegras to kind of excel at playmaking. And I'm just kind of curious what you think about that hybrid role that Tocchet is talking about.
Okay, look, playmaking is a center thing. Like, there's not that many playmaking wingers in the league. There's a reason. It's easier to playmake from the center position. Like, it's natural for that. So This is just a way of sort of deflecting that we're not happy with Trevor Zegras' face-off, so we have to put somebody else. It's everything that we've talked about up to this point. He hasn't changed the narrative. They're just changing the explanation, honestly.
Yeah, I don't think it's deflecting, though. I think it's a little bit more honesty about it.
Okay.
Because he could have said that, what do you mean? Trevor Zegras is a center. And he did say that the long-term goal is to make Trevor Zegras a full-time center, but he's acknowledging the weaknesses in Zegras' game that he can't quite do it now.
Yeah, but he's using the playmaking
hybrid role.
To me, that's where it gets weak because, again, it's easier to playmake from the center position.
Yes and no, depending on how they're setting this hybrid system up, right? Because if in the run of play, he's playing the quote unquote center role, he can still do that center playmaking. Now,
somebody in the press box said this to me the other day, and I agree with it. And that was, he's now a center trapped in a wings role. And that is true because that's what he has played. And now it's easier for a center to play wing, but he's having a little trouble with the transition, and you can see it on the ice.
Sure. And I agree. There have been, some like moments where he's kind of fallen a little bit short as a center. And I think this move is helpful. Now, where it's more of a ding, to me, not on the 5-on-5 play, but on the power play. So Sean Couturier is now going to be on that first power play unit and Zegras is on the second unit. And Tocchet's explanation for that is that, again, we all know Trevor Zegras is not your defensive guy, right?
Right.
And the Flyers have given up, I would think, outsized number of shorthanded chances than they should have on the power play to this point. And that's the problem he's trying to solve there.
While you're trying to solve that, though, again, knowing Sean Couturier's like physical status, like he's got to play in all the games, right? As many as he can. But again, you're piling on minutes. Like he's already more than 2 minutes more than he was playing in the last 2 years. And now you're giving him that. So he might be up to 20 minutes a game on certain games for that. How long is that going to last?
Well, and that'll be the question, right? So
Yep.
if Couturier is on that first unit, we just have to keep an eye on his 5-on-5 time. Is that going to get cut down a little bit? Maybe.
No way.
But I think it's the thing you have to check, right?
Sure.
As
If I was
they make
putting
this change.
FanDuel odds on that, the odds would be infinitely against that.
And it's also situational. Who knows how many power plays the Flyers are going to get in any given game, and will it have an effect?
Mhm.
It's a game-to-game outcome there. So we'll see what I think that does as far as the top power play unit, because again, Couturier is also better at the faceoffs, so those have better chances, I think, for set plays.
But I also think he's trying to tell you if we win more faceoffs, the top power play is going to be better because the second power play has been better anyhow. Like it just
that is true, right? So will this balance out the power play units?
I don't know.
I think it's definitely worth a shot.
No, it's definitely worth a shot. I'm not saying that.
Yeah, I think it will improve the power play overall in balancing that out. One guy on that top power play unit is Matvei Michkov, and there was a lot of discussion about him after practice, and Tocchet continues to say that his game is improving and that the thing that he's focused on learning right now is when to take off and do his thing versus when to stay in the exact system position that he's being assigned, and what makes sense, for the best team outcome. And, when Michkov gets interviewed, right, obviously through the translation, so it's
you never know how clean
science
that is.
You never know exactly, but Michkov is always talking in team terms. He's like, as long as the team is winning, I'm happy, and my individual play doesn't matter. And so I think that the fact that, number one, Tocchet said that Michkov reached out to coaches specifically for additional video sessions to make adjustments. Very, very good. And the fact that they're paying attention to when to allow Michkov to be Michkov 100% versus when he's got to have a more complete responsibility, I think that's also good for his development.
Okay. I mean, first thing is I'm going to clap back again on last year as well. Torts is going to teach him all this. Well, he didn't. And so now they're trying to teach it to him again. In
a different system.
Oh, sure. But the process is exactly the same. We don't want you here. We want you there. And until things are safe, don't start darting down the ice or start looking for that pass the other way. Like that's every system. But what my feeling is that, again, the more you're instructing him, the less offense he has provided. And so far, that has been the case with him over the year and change that he has been on this team. So, okay, it's fine, but I think you could be, hurting his point totals at some point.
Yeah, I think, again, I'm not worried 3 games in so far.
But the bigger picture is this. Do you want Matvei Michkov scoring 75 points, or do you want him scoring 60 and being defensively responsible? That's the question you have to ask.
Yeah, and I think there's pros and cons to each. There absolutely are.
Okay.
But I think that, you look at him, you look at Jet Luchenko, and, Tocchet saying, well, part of the reason why he's had lower minutes is because he's not on special teams, and they, the Flyers have been committing all these penalties, so he's not having.
Why can't he be on the PK?
Well, that's what wasn't answered. That was like my next point is that
he's good at it.
He is good at it. And, if you're trying to focus too much on getting him to shoot and not wanting him to put him out there, maybe there's a balance between getting him some PK time to build some confidence out on the ice in what he does well, that maybe he'll try and extend himself a little bit and take more shots.
Well, the team used to score on the PK. They no longer do that. So he could be a catalyst in that. You won't know
He
until you try
could.
it.
Yeah, yeah, that is like the missing link in the Jet Luchenko conversation from the
Yes.
Flyers side of things. Absolutely. We need to talk about the blue line and Cam York's status and what we're doing with Emil Andrae. We're going to get into that and talk Winnipeg Jets coming up next.
The NFL season's in full swing, and FanDuel has an offer you don't want to miss. Right now, new customers can bet just $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if you win. That's right. Pick a bet, put down $5, and if it hits, you'll unlock $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. I love how FanDuel gives me so many ways to play. I've built parlays, tried player props, and even followed the live lines during games. It makes watching football even more exciting when you've got a little something riding on the action. Whether you're a casual fan or love diving into the stats, FanDuel makes the game day experience so much better. Again, the Jets are banged up at wide receiver. Keep betting for them as the worst team in the league. So what are you waiting for? Visit FanDuel.com to download the FanDuel app today and get started.
On tomorrow's show, of course, we will recap this game that we're going to see tonight against the Winnipeg Jets and so much more. But that being said, the blue line have some questions here leading into tonight's game. When you look at the potential of Cam York's return, that is very good. Full participant in practice, and he was paired with Sanheim in practice, who had a maintenance day the day before because Rick Tocchet was like, yeah, we played you quite a bit there. Tocchet does acknowledge it's dangerous, with Sanheim being in the high 20s in minutes, and they're trying to work to develop other guys. I think with Cam York back, it's going to help.
That'll help
tremendously. So I think he'll go back to sort of a normal 24 to 25 minutes tops.
Well, it depends on power play usage.
Correct. So I think, if they have to ease him back into it, I think that could affect it. So we'll see over these first couple of games that Cam York plays, how that affects Travis Sanheim's ice time. But certainly happy to see Cam York
for sure.
Most likely back out on the ice tonight. We have our usual Sealer Drysdale pairing there, but the third pairing, I think, is where the question comes in, because we saw Emil Andrae have an excellent game in Lehigh Valley, a very good game with the Flyers, and one would think you would want to keep him in the lineup. But with York's return, somebody's got to sit, right? And so with Yinning playing very well, and he has got a strong defensive game and can get the puck up the ice in that first step in the breakout, right?
Yeah.
And then is kind of a trailer and is excellent at keeping the puck in the zone. In practice, we had Yinning with Juleson, which is the presumptive third pairing, and Andrae was paired with Igor Zamula, who's in the doghouse. So what do we make of this?
Like what we said the other show, Andrae is going to be the odd man out. They're going to say Winnipeg's big, you can't play Andrae. Okay. Except the puck movement's way better with Andrae in there compared to anybody else you're going to have on that third pairing, Yinning included. But okay, that's a choice. And so that's the way they're going to go. Juleson not coming out of the lineup. He may be the Keith Yandel of this year.
Oh God. Well, in some ways, yes.
Well, I mean, they don't have any agreement because of setting a record, but staying in the lineup when
a gentleman's agreement to keep him in the lineup there. Yeah, I think, there is some sort of pressure, certainly, just because he was a signing that Rick Tocchet probably requested. So there is something to it, but also I think early in the season, if I'm Rick Tocchet, or if I'm trying to read Rick Tocchet's mind as to why he's keeping Juleson in there, he's a known entity that he doesn't have to think about, right? And
Correct.
while
That's
he's
what a
trying to
lot of
work
coaches
on
do.
these other things
Mhm.
and he's focusing on these other things, he wants a plug and play that he can set it and forget it, right? And that's what Juleson is right now for him.
I mean, you could set it. I don't know if you could always forget it, but that's a whole different
Well,
conversation.
yes, I'm just saying,
I know.
if he's working on Mitchkov, if he's working on Trevor Zegras, if he's working on Luchenko on the forward side of things, and that's where his attention is. On the blue line side, he wants some things that are going to be easy to manage.
He doesn't have to worry about that. They have a coach for that.
Well, he's the head coach, so the
I
buck
know.
stops with him there. But I think, when you're facing the Winnipeg Jets, who have like one of the best they had the best power play in the league last year, your
Yeah.
PK is going to be hugely important.
Sure,
In this game.
no question. It's a big thing, and they do have some size, and then they have speed. They kind of have it all. So again, I
Yeah.
mean, they're not an easy out. We've seen Winnipeg come into this building and win, so it's not like they have trouble on the road or anything. It's a tough game.
It is. They do have a couple of injuries in Adam Lowry, Dylan Sandberg, Cole Perfetti.
Yeah, those are big names. I mean, Lowry especially.
Mhm.
That's the biggest for them because he does so many things.
Right. And, Sandberg just got a contract extension, as did
Mhm.
Hayden Fleury, who's also injured, who had been day to day. So not sure what his status is going to be there. But, they made a big splash recently, extending Kyle Connor for
Mhm.
8 years. Of course, over
That's a
the
lot of their
summer.
power play goals.
Yep. But they had contract extensions for Gabe Velarde, Neil Pionk, Alex Follow.
Yep.
So I think, they've done a very good job. Oh, and they signed Tanner Pearson and Gustav Nyquist. But, I think they've done a really good job of maintaining where they are. And they're just a team that's had playoff problem. They're an excellent regular season team. And I think it's going to be a tough battle for the Flyers.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, Kevin Cheverdayoff in a small market has done a really good job of getting guys to take certain contracts, and that's gone well for them. It's a hard place to attract guys to play sometimes. You have to plug in your car in the middle of winter. That's part of the downside of it. But the hockey side of it's really good. And right now, Hellebuck's played 2 games and Eric Comrie's played 1. So you would think Hellebuck's playing in this one, but I don't know how many other road games they're playing and whatnot. If they have a back-to-back, then it probably is going to be Comrie. If they're not, then I think it's going to be Hellebuck.
Well, Comrie played in their last game against the Isles, which they lost. So I'm leaning more toward Hellebuck in this
but that's
game.
days ago. By the time they play, it's like a long time.
Yeah,
But
that's
yeah,
true.
that's fair.
It is true. They are 2-1 on the season. They lost their opener to the Dallas Stars, but then won against the LA Kings and the aforementioned New York Islanders. So that's good for us in the grand scheme of things. Interestingly, they just sent Brad Lambert down to the minors, who is kind of a promising prospect that hasn't quite worked out for them, which I find interesting.
Yeah, I really liked. He was a guy that was, I don't know, maybe we're going to say he was fool's gold for that World Junior Summer Showcase, because I admit, I think at times it's more shinny than substance, but he does have talent. There was a situation early in his career where he didn't want to be away from home much, but we're years down the road from that. Look, they've done a good job of developing players, so I'm still going to go on the side that he'll probably turn into something, but you never know. I mean, Gabe Velarde is a perfect example of a guy who kept getting injured, but always had this
now
talent.
He's on the top line, so with Winnipeg here.
I don't know if it'll hit that big for Lambert, but there's still something there.
Yeah, I think so too. But yeah, Gabe Velarde, I mean, we talked about him a lot last season as a potential trade target,
because
right?
there was a contract
Or free agent signing or something like that. And he would have been a great fit with the Flyers. Unfortunately, we have to now face him on that top line, like I said, with Scheifele and Connor. So
it's a good top line.
That is going to be a tough top line to defend. I'm assuming the Couturier line will be out there as much as possible when they're out there, right?
Yeah, they're going to match that line. They're going to match their top pairing. And depending on how much those guys play that top line, that's how much they're going to play. So that's
Yeah.
the whole thing. So now you're adding Couturier's on the top line playing against that team, high leverage stuff against Scheifele, and now he's on the top power play. He's going over. He's hitting 20 minutes easy, maybe more.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And I think this is the game to do it, to be honest. If there's any game to play him like that, this is the one that makes the most sense. Interestingly, Jonathan Toews is the 2C. And I'm honestly surprised because I thought he would be a 3C coming back after so much time off. Nemestikov is centering that third line, but Toews with Iafallo and Chibrikov, that is like nothing to sneeze at either.
No. There's good speed on that. I mean, I think they're giving Toews every opportunity to win the 2C job. I don't know if he'll hold on to it. I know he did get his first point recently, but we'll see. Like, again, I don't want to say anything to Flyers fans. I mean, he's had success in that building. That's all I'm going to say. It may have had a different name, but he's had success there.
Right. So, I think that the matchups are going to be a big deal in this game against Winnipeg. I think that obviously the problem that the Flyers have had with taking too many penalties, that's got to stop in this game in particular, just because of how good Winnipeg's power play is.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, that's going to be huge. I mean, who do we think is going to be in net for Philly?
I mean, one would think it would be Urson.
I'm going to go on that side of it too, but I don't know for sure.
We've been wrong about this.
We've been wrong lately. Oh yeah.
So, I mean, maybe if we say it's Vladar, then they'll put Urson in, and
right. I will say this: if Vladar starts this game, he's the de facto number one. Like then there's no denying it.
Absolutely. Yeah, it is going to be a really tough game. I think it's, in a lot of ways, it's been really good for the Flyers to start with this tough schedule. And in some ways, it's been, I think, an overreach and a challenge. But I think I err on the side of it's a good thing because it really shows what you got. And it allows you to make those adjustments a little bit more effectively.
It definitely shows what you have. Yeah, you maybe want it to be easier so they could have 2 or 3 wins, but it does put a strain on the coaching staff, though. Like they have days off, so at least they can practice, but it's tougher on the coaching staff. I mean, if you're playing other teams that aren't as good, it's a little easier. So, it's got its pros and cons.
Yeah, well, we'll see how it turns out. After tonight's game, we will talk about those results on tomorrow's show. In the meantime, we're going to check in on our new draft pick, Jack Murtagh at Boston University, and what we think he'll do or need to do this upcoming season, coming up next. Hockey season is officially underway and nothing beats being in the arena for those games. But let's be real, getting tickets can be a headache sometimes between waiting in online queues, surprise fees, and prices that jump right before checkout. It's easy to get frustrated when all you want to do is cheer on the Flyers. And that's where Gametime comes in. It's an app that gives fans the advantage. It's your ultimate life hack for scoring amazing NHL tickets fast, easy, and stress-free. I could see exactly what views look like the times that I've bought tickets through Gametime, which is so important when you're buying tickets online. Their zone deals are a game changer. You pick the section, Gametime picks your seats, and then you can save even more money. You can find NHL tickets for under $25. And I recently used Gametime to grab seats for the Lorde concert at Madison Square Garden. I got amazing seats, had the time of my life. Take the guesswork out of buying NHL tickets with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, use the code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. That's code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. As we know, Jack Murtagh was a second-round pick for the Philadelphia Flyers, one of 4 second-rounders that they selected in a little bit of a bunch together. Jack came in at 40th overall, and he was somebody we talked about quite a bit ahead of the draft as a really good option for the Flyers. And he brings so much to the table in terms of scoring and skill and playmaking, and I think that it was an excellent pick, right?
Yeah, no question. He learned a lot being with the NTDP, how to train and practice and those things. I was looking at Instat. Some things stood out. Like in 4 games, he only has 1 penalty. That's terrific. Actually, no penalties. It's 1 penalty against. So he's drawn a penalty. He hasn't taken a penalty. That's even better.
That's great.
21% defensive zone starts. Like that's really good. Now he is playing on the wing. He has the ability to play center, but he knows if he gets to the NHL, which he will, it'll be a winger. 69% of his shots on goal, really good. Puck battle, 66%, 0.75 hits per game, 1351 time on the ice. This is all really good for a freshman. Really, really good stuff.
Yeah, he's on the third line
Mhm.
with Boston University right now with Camille Bednarik, who's an Isles pick, and
Yeah.
Brandon Svoboda, who's a Sharks pick.
And Ben Eric was a teammate at the NTDP, so like they know
Yep.
each other.
Yeah, and I think that's like you said, a great place for him to start as a freshman at
Yep.
one of the top 3 teams in the country.
Yeah.
I think he'll get the right amount of ice time and the right opportunities this season. He had an excellent goal last weekend against Colgate, where he just definitely just deked the goalie and got him to
Yeah, I
move
saw
and
that
had
one.
a
Nice.
nice little, just had to poke the puck in, right?
Yeah.
So I think he has the ability, given where he's playing, to show what he can do, but also build the skills in I wouldn't say a limited amount of ice time, but in the right kind of ice time.
Yeah, I think it's the right kind of ice time. I think none of those schools, the really good ones like that, are going to just hand you the ice time. He's going to have to earn it. I think he's earning it. Like we said, he has that point. His big thing is he's really smart. He's got a good amount of size. He's already got strength that's a little bit beyond his years. And all those kinds of things really add up and help because you're playing against 23-year-olds. I mean, on average. So that's a big deal. That's something. And, having a guy like Bednarik is really good too, because that's another
Right.
guy who can really make some plays happen, but he's very good defensively. Like this is a line when they put him out there, they don't worry about them getting scored on that much. And
No,
so like
because
whatever
they learned everything they needed to with the development program.
right. So whatever they get offensively is kind of like gravy for them, but they can put them out there and
Yeah.
trust in their defense. And that's a big thing. And that's going to help. That's good for development for when he becomes a Flyer down the road.
Yeah, for sure. And as far as expectations go, we talked about Porter Martone last week, and we'll talk about different guys, but you do have to take into account again what college he's at
Yes.
and what kind of ice time, and he is, a freshman. I think with Porter Martone, they're putting him much higher up in the
Oh
lineup
yeah.
and he's going to get more minutes and more chances. So you don't want to over promise as far as what you think Murtagh can do, right?
Yeah, no question. I mean, I still think he's like a 40, 45 point guy at his height. I feel like he could be a second liner, maybe he's a third liner. That's fine. I think either way,
Yeah.
you're good on that. I think he's going to play another year in college. I think he's going to, go there one more year. And then, yeah, he'll take AHL time in. He's not like going to jump directly to the NHL. I don't think he's going to be that guy. But he's also a guy where when he goes to levels, he learns.
Yeah, absolutely. And so I think this is going to be a really good year for him. And
Yeah.
I'm very much looking forward
Yep.
to watching him play. It's going to be real interesting because, I mentioned Porter Martone and his Michigan State team, and those two teams are going to be facing off
Oh,
this
yeah.
weekend. So if you're looking to watch Flyers prospects, we've got 2 of them on Michigan State. We've got 2 of them at Boston
Good game to
University.
peek in on.
So great games
Probably on
to
the Big
tune
Ten
into.
network.
I think one of them's on ESPN,
Okay.
and then the other one will be on Big Ten. But
Yeah.
they're playing each other Friday and Saturday this
Yeah, I'm still
weekend.
catching up with my Gavin McKenna stuff, but that one I'll probably peek in on live.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's a great opportunity to be a Flyers prospect fan.
Oh, yeah.
this weekend. But yeah, really looking forward to Jack Murtagh's season. That will do it for today's show. Thanks so much for listening. We will be back tomorrow to recap Flyers versus Jets, plus preview the weekend matchup against the Minnesota Wild, who just, of course, signed the biggest contract in NHL history for Kirill Kaprizov. As a reminder, we always want to hear from you. If you've got mailbag questions or Flyers thoughts, let us know on any of our socials at Locked On Flyers. You can email us at lockedonflyers@gmail.com or comment on our YouTube channel. I'm Rachel. I'm on Blue Sky and Twitter at rmiriam. That's RMIRIAM.
I'm Russ. I'm at Sportsology on the same socials, SPORTSOLOGY.
Thanks for making Locked On Flyers your first listen today. For your next listen, check out the all-new Locked On NHL Game Night. It's every game, every night until that Stanley Cup champion is crowned. Get local analysis on a national scale with NHL Game Night on Locked On NHL on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. Have a great day, everyone.